Hello and welcome to BW London podcast. I wish I was blogging or doing this podcast last year when the Black Lives Movement was happening, because then I would have, put my real passion into what I was thinking then. But I was so annoyed by that movement. It was such an obvious distraction. And I had my cousins, family members calling me up saying, "Are you taking your children?" I give them my opinion. "Well, I still just think that you should take them to a part of this movement." I'm like, "But seriously?" So I listen. That movement was not only a distraction; it was a bait distraction. There was nobody even leading the movement of any significance. And I keep hearing this thing where they say, "Oh, black women have the Jesus complex." But let's be serious. Any movement is led by someone. Period. Not only that, it brought around such an obnoxious response from white people, apparently now understanding the black movement and the black pain, and they're just born racist, they're meant to believe, and you know they're meant to understand their own white supremacy, and it was just nonsense. I wish it was that, actually, because that's not what it was. It was more focusing on us. Back in the 90s, I used to have these things where I used to think, oh, at some point white people are going to have to study their own history and understand why they often have such a cold exterior, why they often still treat, especially in the retail world, why they still treat people like they're on a plantation and they're the masters. All these things I thought would eventually lead to white people studying their own history and how it's affected them, and more than likely created a lot of personality disorders and made them quite entitled and all of the other stuff, hence the Karens and so on. That's where I saw it going. But it didn't. It went the other way. It meant, oh, white people are now going to study us like we're in a zoo again, and say, well, yes, we understand how we inflict a lot of institutional racism on you. Yep. It's, oh, jeez. It wasn't a step forward. It was definitely a distraction. While this whole vaccine, lots of things are distraction. While they pretends that they're debating whether vaccines happen, whether passport vaccines. They know exactly where they're heading. Everything is a good 50, if not more, years ahead mentally. They bring us into this slowly, make us feel like we have the power. But, vaccines about to be a rolling thing. Look how many women are not getting their menstrual cycle now as a result. I know at least 4 women now that are vaccinated. And isn't that the first thing we all said? It's going to affect our ability to have children, because eventually you're going to need to have to buy in to have children, buy in to have everything. We're going to be objects. You're going to walk into a shop and it's going to scan you, and they're going to know your worth and whether you should be in here or not. And if you're one of the anti-vax, basically anti-new modern world, globalization, one world system, you will be separated, and they're working on separating us now mentally and emotionally through this vaccine. But yeah, the Black Lives Movement was a complete load of rubbish. It had no relevance. The whole Floyd thing, whatever the case may be, it was just one story plucked out of many stories that happened to get this thing going. Or in the UK, they were pitching down and throwing down really prestigious old stone buildings of really old racist men that, I don't know, and Greek men that do statues of little babies, because it's all a bit paedophilic, but all of that stuff, they were throwing them down. I'm thinking, yeah, of course we can throw those old objects down. The new world's going to look different. Think about the people pre-Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Lidl's, I don't know what it is in America, Macy's, I don't know, but whatever it is in America, all of those superstores, there was a time when there was a bunch of crazy people saying that we won't be eating our own foods anymore. They're going to supply foods, and it's all going to be injected, and it's going to be fake food, and it's going to change the whole culture. And they sounded crazy, but it happened. The world looked different once the high streets and the UK started to look the same, and so on and so on. And this right here is the new world, the new age that people have been talking about forever. It's real. When I was back at university, there was old men, they wouldn't even be alive now, some of those lecturers, and they told me about this pandemic. They said there's going to be a war. It's going to be done through some kind of illness. Vaccines will be necessary. There'll be more control put on the world. They were sure. They gave me books that I read. I've read books about this. These books were published in like the 80s, 70s, 60s. And who am I preaching to? The choir? I don't know. But Yeah, my whole point is that I just thought, I was just lying down and I thought about the Black Lives Movement, man, and I just thought, what a load of nonsense. And the people that were really supporting that like it meant anything. It didn't mean anything. It was a distraction. And it was an irritation. My kids go to school and people have phone covers and laptop covers that say BLM on them, and get that out of here. Like, really? I'm just a black person trying to live my life. Stop bothering me. Like, of course, I'm consciously aware of all these things going on, but not being funny. The poor white man's in the same position as me. Don't be fooled. Racism ain't even real. Yeah, that's just another kind of propaganda to keep us separated and apart. But the people in the elites at the top, they don't care about none of that. They don't care about none of that. All right, well, yeah, that's my little input on the Black Lives Movement matter that just captured my thoughts just then for a minute. All right, take care.